Hey everybody, Hatcher here with gaming news, reviews, and tips, and today we've got a review of Wasteland 3, released on August 27th, 2020 by In Exile Entertainment. Now obviously this is the third installment of this series, and it'll be the first time that I've played Wasteland 3, and after about 10 or 12 hours of in-game play, I'm going to give you my thoughts on what this game is all about. Now, Wasteland 3 is based as a squad-based RPG featuring tactical turn-based combat, and it's set in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's supposed to have a very deep storyline. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at what Wasteland 3 has to offer. Now, the number one thing that I like about Wasteland 3 is it's true to its name. It is a turn-based RPG strategy game. So you have all of the things that you would see in a regular turn-based strategy game where you can move around the map, you have a certain amount of action points that you can spend, and a certain amount of actions that you can do, and they cost different amounts. So it sticks with that formula, and it really does work. So another thing that I've really liked about Wasteland 3 is the diversity in character development that you get, which is great for an RPG. And in this case, we're taking a closer look at one of my characters here named Coyote. And you can see he's a level 7 locksmith. So in addition to having your basic combat type skills with different weapons or melee, you also have a bunch of different secondary skills that you can choose from and develop to try and refine. So in this case, you can see you can choose from different combat skills like automatic weapons, small arms, through to big guns, brawling, melee combat, sniper rifles. You have different general skills which include explosives and I believe lockpicking from up above, as well as first aid and sneaky shit. And I will give them this, they have been really creative with the different things that they're going to name these different categories, and they give you a pretty good description of what that attribute means. You can also see that there's some different exploration skills because there is a bit of, I wouldn't call it open world because you are driving down a fairly limited driveway, but your character has exploration skills that they can develop, as well as social skills, making them, maybe a little bit different when they interact with NPCs or how they interact with your team. Now there's a few different areas that you can develop. This was just the skills tab, but you can also develop their attributes, and obviously that gives you different bonuses in-game while you're playing. And then each character can choose different perks that they earn along the way. So again, this really provides a lot of diversity in the game. You do get to make a lot of choices and develop each one of those characters in true role-playing game fashion. Now I do have two big complaints when it comes to Wasteland 3, and the first one is a doozy, and it's the loading screens. So I've got a mission here that I'm on right now, and as you can see, I'm going to have to travel back to Colorado Springs. I'm in a place called the Bazaar. So I'm going to have to head out of this area in the Bazaar, and in order to get back to Colorado Springs, I have to take this loading screen here. Yes. And wait for the loading screen. And the loading screens are quite long. At least they feel quite long. And there's more waiting. And more waiting. And more waiting. And this is all just so that I can walk over to get another loading screen in a different area. So now we'll head on over to where we actually need to go in order to get back into our vehicle, which is down across this ramp, and then we're going to need to hop into our vehicle.
Really need to ask Piscatelli to look at my gun. Bugger keeps jamming.
And then it asks me if I want to go to Colorado, because I'm going to need to drive my vehicle to a different place. Yes, I would like to go there. Well, guess what? It's another loading screen. Alright, so we've made it back to Colorado Springs. It wasn't that long, just a minute or two of driving. We didn't run into anything, so nothing major there. But now we've headed back to Colorado Springs, and now we need to go find our NPC to turn in our quest. And so now it's asked me where we want to go to turn this quest in. And so I've got a few choices, and yep, we'll head here, and we'll be hit with another loading screen. Now, tied in with those long loading screens is, I know this is a turn-based combat game, and I know it's an RPG, and I should expect some text, but this gets a little bit tiresome. You're kind of always zoomed out in this sort of third-person view, not very much detail. They do read out the text to you, and then you get yourself a choice, kind of like a choose your own adventure. I mean, that's the cool part of the RPG, but the talking is a little repetitive, and with the constant text at the bottom, I often find myself just clicking, and just wanting it to be over so I can go back out and find myself another turn-based strategy battle so that I can get into the next action. And so it's a little bit slow-moving when it comes to the speech, and it's not all that intriguing. It doesn't captivate you, and probably a little bit too much time spent reading and listening, and not enough time getting spent actually playing and customizing your characters and getting into the heat of battle. So, should you play this game? Well, if you've played this series before, you're probably going to like Wasteland 3, so I'd say definitely go ahead, give this game a try. If you do like turn-based strategy games, then I'll say, yeah, maybe give this game a try. You're probably going to enjoy it to some extent because there aren't a ton of this game, this kind of game out there on the market. And if you're new to this genre, I would say maybe try one of the other games in this series. For example, XCOM 2, you're probably going to get a little bit more enjoyment out of that game. Even though it's a few years older, you're probably going to enjoy it quite a bit more. So GNRT is going to rate Wasteland 3 a 6 out of 10. Honestly, I'm going to keep playing this game. It does have its hooks into me right now. I'm going to try and finish it off. I keep waiting for it to get good around that next corner, and hopefully in the next few hours of gameplay, it's really going to take that turn and the character development and the story is going to sink its teeth into me. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you do, please give me a like or subscribe, and we will see you in game.